transport network due to bad roads in Matulani, Miseleni, Mutula, Kasengela, and Komonga areas, resulting into high transport charges by public vehicles necessitated by increased frequency of maintenance of vehicles, harsh climatic conditions leading to famine, limited telephone network and internet connectivity, hampering access to critical services and limited access to medical care and other social amenities. 5, that Mr. Speaker, consequently, there is inadequate teacher staffing as teachers posted to the 2 sub-counties are constantly applying for transfers. Mr. Speaker, statistics available indicate that 40 principals, 95 head teachers, and 512 teachers sought transfer from the area between January 2023 and March 2024, and that as at August 2024, Mr. Speaker, 9 secondary schools have no principals, while 11 have no deputy head teachers, which is a worrying trend. 6, that Mr. Speaker, efforts to address the matter directly through the Teachers Service Commission have not been fruitful. 7, that Mr. Speaker, the issues in respect of which this petition is raised are not pending before any court of law or any constitutional or legal body. Therefore, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Public Petitions Committee, A, engages the Teacher Service Commission to gazette Moala and Kalama sub-counties as hardship areas in order to improve educational standards through provision of adequate teachers in the area, and B, that make any other recommendation it deems fit. And your petitioner will ever pray. Presented by self, Kawaya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. This petition, as usual, is committed to the Public Petitions Committee. I can see the chairman, Venerable Mbai, here, smiling. I hope you do justice to this particular petition. I see no interventions on it, so we move to the next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader. Leader of Majority, Honorable Soro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Friday, October 18th, 2024, afternoon sitting. 1, report of the Auditor General Financial Statements of Butula Boys High School, Busia County for the year ended 30th June 2023, and 2, report of the Auditor General and Financial Statements of Kenya European Union Partnership for the implementation of the National Strategy to Counter Violent Extremism in Kenya for the year ended 30th June 2024, National Counterterrorism Center. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Thank you. Well done. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Is the member for Turkana County in the House, the Honorable Cecilian? Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I rise to request a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Regional Development regarding the alarming crocodile attacks that have tragically resulted in the loss of lives among residents living along the shores of Lake Turkana. Honorable Speaker, the water levels of Lake Turkana have risen dramatically, submerging several areas along the shores of the lake. The affected areas include Nangitony, Ekwar, Nalukat, Ngimuriai, Nangolpus, Merier, Achukut, Elelia, Mugur, among others. in Kerio Delta Ward. As a result, residents have been displaced, forced to abandon their homes and seek refuge in makeshift shelters. Tragically, this displacement has also exposed them to deadly dangers as crocodiles, now thriving in the submerged areas, have attacked, killed 12 individuals, leaving many more injured. The displaced community now lives in a constant fear of further attacks. Honorable Speaker, the swelling of Lake Turkana has pushed these residents into areas with no access to essential services such as food, proper shelter, health care, and education. Despite the logistical capability demonstrated during elections, Mr. Speaker, where helicopters are deployed to transport election materials, these areas have been left neglected when urgent assistance as such is needed. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Regional Development on the following. 1. The immediate and long-term interventions from relevant ministries, departments, and agencies regarding the provision of clean water, food, temporary shelters, and health care services for the affected residents. And secondly, any compensation for the families who have been injured and tragically lost their loved ones due to crocodile attacks. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Lochakapong is in the House. The chairperson of the Committee on Regional Development Authorities. This request is accordingly committed to that committee, but I can see the member for Turkana Central. This is the member for, I can't see your card. Can you press intervention?
Central.
Yes, Honorable Mother, go ahead.
For Turkana Central.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, what is being mentioned or raised in that statement regards or happens in my constituency. And it is cutting across. It's not only about potable water, it is about the concern by KWS to go and see to it that the crocodiles are not frequently attacking people. Number two, those who have been attacked and killed by crocodiles are also supposed to be compensated. The other issue is about schools. It cuts across education. Children have resolved to being fishermen instead of being in school because most of their schools have been submerged. It is cutting across. And when we talk about regional development only, maybe they will bring water, but children will remain outside school because their school is submerged. Again, those who are attacked by crocodiles because crocodiles have left their places, they are now living within where people are living, and their attacks are continuously happening. Honorable Speaker, it is even serious because some of these attacks, you cannot trace the bodies. Some crocodiles will eat and swallow everything. There is nothing to put as exhibit. And when you get to KWS, the report is, they say, we cannot be able to give evidence. It is very strange, and this is an emergency in itself, Honorable Speaker. And I thank Honorable Cecilia for bringing it up, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Mbai.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to comment about the statement sought by the Honorable Member for Turkana. Mr. Speaker, we've had several petitions about wildlife and public human conflict in areas where we have wildlife, maybe the ocean or the lakes, forests. And Mr. Speaker, you know that we've listened to several stakeholders. And one of the patterns I've observed is that the civilian staff of the Ministry of Tourism are concerned and really understand the situation of the public when it comes to this, to death, also to disturbance of normal life of the people living within the areas where we have wildlife. But the uniformed staff, Mr. Speaker, so many Kenyans are suffering, and it is the uniformed staff of the KWS who are supposed to protect the public. But the uniformed staff of the KWS are more leaning, are more protective to the wildlife than the human beings around those areas. We brought several reports on issues touching on wildlife. I know the committee of implementation is on it, but Mr. Speaker, I believe it's time the whole house, this parliament, Mr. Speaker, said something or pronounced itself about how KWS, the uniform staff, should treat human beings suffering from wildlife conflict. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I'm trying to see if the honorable member, Honorable Mbiuki, is in the house. Is there any member from that committee, the Committee on Tourism and Wildlife? Because I would like to order that this statement be processed jointly between the Committee on Regional Development Authorities and the Committee on Tourism and Wildlife, and to get back to us in 2 weeks, and to the House in 2 weeks. Next. There's a member for Malava. You got a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a request for a statement regarding shooting of Ms. Salome Makanda. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the alleged shooting of Ms. Salome Makanda by a Kenya Police Service officer. Honorable Speaker, on 8th October 2024, Ms. Salome Makanda, a second-year student at Bungoma National Polytechnic of ID number 41681904, was tragically shot and killed during demonstrations by Polytechnic students. The demonstrations were sparked by grievances against the administration requesting the transfer of the principal, Ms. Rosbella Chuku, on allegations of misconduct and harassment of students. Honorable Speaker, it's against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. 1, in Roman, explain the circumstances that led to the shooting and killing of Ms. Salome Makanda as a resident of Malava constituency. 2, provide a status of the investigations into the shooting, including action taken against the police officer allegedly responsible. And 3, give a status report of measures the government has put in place to offset the hospital bills for the family of the deceased. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The chairman of the Committee of Administration and National Security. It's a very straightforward request. I'm sure you've listened to it. How soon can you be able to?
Speaker, considering that the House is joining for recess, maybe 2 weeks when we resume. But should I get a response in between, I can as well furnish the concern.
Lies with the member, yes.
Yes.
Correct. The Honorable Chair, you were to respond to a request by the Honorable Chonga, and I'm told Honorable Chonga now is in the House. Is that the case? Okay, go ahead.
And as was directed yesterday by the Speaker who was on chair, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member for Kilifi South Honorable Ken Ochonga, had requested a statement regarding eviction of Mr. Kaya Rimbo Gona, family from land registered LR number MN 11783 by Mohamud on 11th October 2024. And the honorable member specifically, or in particular, wanted to be informed the reason why the family of Kaya Rimba was evicted from the disputed plot, which they have stayed for over 60 years, and when will the family be allowed to access their homes until the court resolve the dispute, and why the police officers from Ndonya and Mutopa have assisted Mr. Mahmoud to frustrate the Rimbo's family by denying them access to land, and the step taken to ensure Mohammed Abdallah do not acquire possession of land in dispute, and if there are compensation for the ministry. Honorable Speaker, I want to state as follows. Mr. Mohammed Abdul bought the land in question in 1982. That is 42 years ago. He subsequently hired Mr. Kaya Gona Riba to work for him on the farm. The land, measuring 4.27 hectares, is a freehold and is registered under Abdullah Muhammad Abdullah as per the search dated 15th August 2024, but several subdivisions have registered against the title. The land as a farmhouse belonging to the landowner, which Mr. Rimba Gona moved in after the death of Mr. Muhammad Abdallah in 2002. Before his death, Mzee Muhammad instructed his family to apportion 2 acres of land to Mr. Rimba, acknowledging the long period he had worked for him. I wish to table and have a copy of the agreement attached. However, Gona Rimba refused to take his 2 acres. He demanded an additional 1 acre, to which the family agreed. Instead of taking 3 acres, he moved to court and filed the advice possession case claiming the entire land. The matter is alive in High Court. Honorable Speaker, on 29th July 2024 at around 11 a.m., a distress call was received at Donya Police Station that there was a dead body. In the compound of Mr. Mzee Mohammed, which the Kings wanted to bury. Police officers rushed to the scene and established that upon the demise of Mzee Riba, the family wanted to bury him there. However, Mr. Abdullah denied them access. Later, the family went to court and the verdict was awarded in favor of Mr. Abdullah. So police just intervened due to the disturbance and the commotion which was there. No evictions were done at all. Mr. Lucky Kalemba Rimba, a son to the deceased, Mr. Kaya Rimba Gona, filed application dated 6 August 2024 before court for determination, seeking the following principal orders: an order of temporary injunction restraining Muhammad Abdullahi Muhammad and his agent from stopping or preventing the burial of the remains of the Kaya Rimba Gona pending the hearing and determination of the application, an order of temporary injunction restraining Muhammad Abdullahi Muhammad and his agent from stopping and preventing the burial, an order compelling Muhammad Abdullah Muhammad and his agents to open and create a passage through the wall for the entrance and the exits of the applicant and other intending to enter or visit their homestead. However, the application was dismissed with cost. Honorable Speaker, after the above judgment, the Abdullahi Mushin, one of the successors of the late Mzee, hired private security guards to guard his property as he feared the family may sneak and bury the body on his compound. The late Mzee Mohammed Abdullah family lives in Mombasa, further away from this property, hence necessitating the need for the private security. Honorable Speaker, national government administrative officers have been reconciling the parties for a win-win situation, but Mzee Rimba Gona family has never been satisfied, hence the option to file their case in court, forcing the dependent to incur costs and hire lawyers to represent them. Despite all that, we have managed to convince the Abdullah family to honor the agreement of 2001. They have requested the Kaya Rimba Gona family to find an alternative land of their choice that Abdullah family is committed to purchasing for the family. This is due to the bad blood that now exists between the two families, making it difficult to live harmoniously as neighbors. Honorable Speaker, as a ministry, we will endeavor to ensure that the family maintain peace. However, the ministry has no voted. The ministry has got no voted for the compensation of evicted families. And it's signed by the Honorable Kindiki Kinduri, the immediate cabinet minister for interior and the current deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Chonga, you've heard the response. Go ahead.
Thank you, Speaker. I am aware about all that has been presented. But I want this House to know that this is a family which has lived there for over already 60 years. And they have been burying their dead on the 2 acres they had been allocated by the old Abdallah Muhammad. And as I stand here now, it is already on record that they have a dead body which is 4 months old in the city at Coast General Mortuary awaiting burial. The court has never issued orders as to whether they should not bury or they should bury. But all along, the family has been burying their dead from this piece of land. So, as much as there is that dispute which is still in court, I don't know whether there is a lacuna in law to direct that the family still holds on the land that they were awarded until the matter is decided, or it is going to stay as it is, Mr. Speaker, that they be left out and stay with the dead body until the matter is determined by court. Because from the chair, we have heard clearly the matter is still very active in court. Thank you, Speaker.
I think that's very well said, and this is a very straightforward matter. Members, if the chairperson can be able to help the Honorable Chonga with his constituents to get the body buried, it'll be okay. But I think it's a matter that, as Parliament, I don't know what do you want to say about that, Chair?
I first appreciate and acknowledge that the Member of Parliament at least are in agreement with the response. But Honorable Speaker, you being even a lawyer, to a big extent, this is actually a land issue. It's a land question. And of course, as indicated, is a live case in court. The role of the Ministry of Interior and Security actually is very minimal in this case. The bigger thing is actually a land question. So I think maybe this scope can go beyond the scope of the Interior to involve possibly even the Ministry of Land. Nevertheless, as you guided, I think we need a little bit an issue to negotiate.
Honorable Chair.
Yes.
Honorable Chair. The Interior Ministry will have a role to play if there is no order barring the burial and someone is stopping from the burial. Because Honorable Chonga says that there is no court order barring the burial. So we need to get the facts there clearly. If someone may be using the police to stop a burial that has not been stopped, then the committee will have to come in and help in that situation. I think this matter is settled. The Honorable Chonga, you can approach the Honorable Chair. You see how you can help each other to make this happen. There is a response that was deferred in the morning on the issue of Moi University. I think the Honorable Jack Wamboka is in the House.
Yes.
So you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have 2 responses, but I will start with the response from Moi University, which we had deferred in the morning because of inadequate response from the ministry. Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank Honorable Wamboka and the members of this House who showed a lot of interest in the problems facing Moi University. As we speak today, it is affecting thousands of students, lecturers, and members of the public who in one way or another depend on this university. Honorable Speaker, the statement I have here details the background under which this problem started, the genesis, and it goes on to explain how the problems came up, what the university is doing in the short term, in the long term, what the government is doing, and more importantly, what are they doing to make sure that the university is reopened. Honorable Speaker, you will allow me to take a bit of time so that I can actually give a detailed response because this is of a national importance. Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Moi University has been facing difficulties in meeting its wage bill and other operational obligations over the years. The university wage bill has continued to increase and is currently at 88% of total revenue, as opposed to 35% in most institutions. The challenges facing the university are linked to historical issues of overexpansion. Between 1991 and 2024, the university suffered loss of its critical infrastructure and assets and financial resources by establishing over 9 fully fledged universities. This includes, among others, Masinde Muliro University, University of Eldoret, Karatina, Kabianga, Masai Mara, and Alupe, and currently one constituent college that is in Bomet. It is noteworthy that in 1988, Moi University established the privately sponsored students program, which eventually grew, and the privately sponsored students were supposed to serve the following reasons. 1, the growing demand for higher education. 2, limited admission capacities for government-sponsored students. And 3, the need to accommodate students who had failed to secure university placements. This is actually what happened across all other universities, what the PPS was supposed to do, privately sponsored students. Honorable Speaker, because of this, the university established satellite campuses across the country. But you remember that in 2014 or 2015, we had what we call the Matianic effect, where the government reined in on students, especially cheating in high schools, and therefore there was a drop in the number of students going to universities. Due to the decline in the pass rate of the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, resulting to changes in university admission policy by the government, there was a decline in admission in the privately self-sponsored students, as shown in the table below. This led to reduced income and to eventual closure of a number of campuses and teaching centers in Nakuru, Kericho, Kitale, Odero, Kango, Mogotio, Marigat, and others. This, however, staff from all these campuses, as well as some of the constituent colleges that became fully fledged universities, were retained at Moi University. This was actually the misnomer that affected the university. As much as the campuses were supposed to close down with the staff, they actually offloaded the main campus. That means that they have a huge staff in their payroll. And there's a table here showing that in 2014-2015, the student population at the university was at 7,125. Now in 2023-2024, we have 19,460 government-sponsored, 1,097 privately sponsored, and the population now stands at 20,557. Honorable Speaker, the reduction in student numbers from over 20,000 privately sponsored students to 1,097 in the academic year 23-24 has resulted in decline in revenue against a static payroll cost. The number of teaching staff has been rationalized as a result of expansion of academic programs, retirements, resignation, and natural attrition. Honorable Speaker, we have the figure showing here how the population has been increasing, yet the student population has been reducing, meaning that the income of the university has been declining. However, the number of the teaching staff have almost remained static because these are the people who have been the teaching and the non-teaching staff. As a result of the sharp decline in revenue, the university has been unable to sustain its payroll operations and maintenance expenses. Currently, the payroll constitutes 88% of the revenue against an ideal of 35%, a situation that is not tenable to the university's sustainability. Reports of the Office of the Director General on the university's financial statements show that the university has been technically insolvent since 2016. The university liabilities exceed the assets. Honorable Speaker, we have a table indicating what the university owes creditors, the statutory payments, payee, housing levy, bank loans, and all this. All of this, the pending bills, start at 7.9 billion, 871,465. The university, therefore, the council of the university and the management sat down, and actually it was a directive from the government to sit down and give up a recovery plan. Therefore, in their plan, the financial crisis triggered a strike that eventually led to the closure of the university on 3rd October 20.
Order. The member of the aisle, could you take a seat? The member of the aisle, take a seat.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The financial crisis triggered a strike that eventually led to the closure of the university on 3rd October 2024. The university has requested for funding from the National Treasury through the State Department of Higher Education and Research to address the crisis. In particular, the university has requested the following for funding. 1, additional financial support of 315 million per month for a period of 2 years. 2, one-off financial support of 2.4 billion to clear outstanding debts to stem the accumulation of pending bills and the penalties and interest that accrue. 3, salary arrears for diagonal implementation of 2017-21 CBA as ruled by the court in 2021. They require 1,051,874. 4, funding and support to undertake staff right-sizing. They want to reduce the number of staff, and this they require 1.3 billion, of which the university says they are able to raise 700 million through the sale of a property. The long-term sustainability plans for the university, that is the second item they are supposed to do. Honorable Speaker, the long-term sustainability plans were actually as a result of a meeting which was directed by the Chief of Staff and Head of Public Service, and they constituted a committee to develop a recovery plan for the university. The committee comprises the following: the representative from the Executive Office of the President, National Treasury, and Ministry of Education. The Committee on Recovery Plan for Moi University is working with the University Council and management to develop a long-term sustainability plan for the university. Honorable Speaker, I'm aware that this committee has met, and some recommendations which are very immediate and are going to make sure the university starts is actually in the document. The committee analyzed the request for funds submitted by university as indicated in the table below. Additional payroll support, they say they require 315 million shillings per month. Current pending bills as 1st July 2022 to date, 2.4 billion. And the actionable body is that payment plan to be negotiated with creditors. 3, salary arrears from 2017-21, that is a CBA, they require 1,051 million, submitted to the pending bills committee. All these are long-term. The committee has noted that the financial request submitted by Moi University is not sustainable and cannot be fully accommodated within the present fiscal space. They therefore demanded that they give what can be easily implemented and the university be opened. And they gave the following. There are opportunities for increasing revenue for income-generating activities. That is what the committee asked Moi University to do. That 1, they need to make sure that they increase revenue from the farm, idle assets, short-term trainings, consultancies, endowment fund, and research. The university has been directed to project the revenue expected from the income-generating activities over the next 3 years, 2024 up to 2027. The university has been directed to augment exchequer resources with enhanced own revenue so as to increase its revenue. The university has been directed to negotiate priority payment plan with staff and creditors and further to pay the current pending bills progressively. Exchequer resources will be prioritized for the payment of salaries. The payroll stands at 403,906,046 shillings each month. The immediate action for the opening of the university, for the reopening of the university. They have actually 5 steps to make sure that the university is reopened by 4th of November. 1, the National Treasury has released 609 million in October 2024 to Moi University. The amount is distributed as below. Now, the monies that are being distributed. 1, 300 million will be disbursed for scholarships in October 2024. This is in addition to 217 million disbursed in August 2024. 2, 219.9 million will be disbursed for tuition in October 2024. This in addition to 127.2 million disbursed in August 2024. 3, 89 million will be disbursed as capitation for ongoing students in October 2024. This is in addition to 269 million disbursed in August 2024. Number 2, the disbursement of 609 million will enable the university to pay pending staff salaries for the months of September and October, which is a total of 8 or 7 million shillings. 3, the university will be directed to meet the difference of 198 million through on-source revenue, which has been projected at 206 million each month. Honorable Speaker, the fourth action is that the National Treasury will avail an additional 500 million to Moi University by November 15th, 2024. And 5th, a caretaker committee will be constituted to strengthen the management of Moi University during the recovery period. I remember one of the issues that was raised was the issue of management. And the committee is actually saying they are going to have a caretaker committee. However, there is a major risk, Honorable Speaker, that is the university is also facing. And the issue is a major risk against disbursement of funds for loans and scholarships is the order issued by the High Court of Kenya at Nairobi on 3rd of October 2024. And in Nairobi petition, number 412 of 2023, Kenya Human Rights Commission, and 3 others versus the Attorney General, and 4 others. I think this is on the issue on the new funding model, which they actually want to use the funds for scholarship and loans to disburse. But the higher education, or through the ministry, they have actually gone to court to ensure that to mitigate against the risk, the ministry, through the Office of Attorney General, has filed an application to set aside and discharge the order to facilitate the release of funds to students and universities. Honorable Speaker, the committee has set, it is recommended that Moi University should reopen on November 4th, 2024 to facilitate the reopening. It is to be noted that staff unions will need to sign a return to work formula to promote consensus and set the stage for reopening. An interministerial committee comprising the Ministry of Education, the National Treasury, the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection is negotiating with the staff unions on the issues raised regarding the implementation of the CBA 2017-2021. Honorable Speaker, signed by the PS, Higher Education. Honorable Speaker, this statement, you remember in the morning, they had actually given almost a two-sentence statement, which I, as the Chair of Education, did reject because it did not give and it did not respond to the statement raised by Honorable Wamboka. This particular statement, as I talked to the ministry, they are actually saying that the actionable areas that they have detailed here will be implemented. The university will actually open, and most of the teething issues that are affecting the university, we as the Committee of Education, we've also said of them, and my committee will be visiting the university. And one of the things that we have discussed, Honorable Speaker, within my committee and the Ministry of Education, is to make sure that we have a robust, efficient management that is able to run the university and bring the university back to its feet. So I thank you, and I thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Honorable, let's have Wanabi having the first bite, because it was his statement. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to indeed thank my brother, Chairman of Education Departmental, at least we are headed somewhere. Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, my committee already ordered a forensic audit through the Office of the Auditor General to this university.
You don't have a committee.
National Assembly Committee
On?
PIC, Education and Governance.
Because you know Kenyans don't, when you put abbreviations or you say my committee.
Which I chair, Honorable Speaker, ordered a forensic audit in this university. I'm sure at the end of the day we are going to get somewhere. But as we do that, Honorable Speaker, the student is fundamental in all this matrix. And I want to ask my brother, students are complaining this university has not held a graduation. Many students, 2-3 years, the university has not organized a graduation for them. Kindly and with urgency, because it's unfair for a student to go to school, finish the degree, and not graduate. The university should facilitate that and ensure that that is done. Workers, lecturers and teaching staff are really suffering in this university, Honorable Speaker. Let's prioritize these people, because most of them are even dying of pressure, stress. They cannot, most of them have loans, and they cannot survive. So, Honorable Chair, as you prioritize this, please bear in mind. And I'm looking at the finances that have been released by the Treasury. They're a bit little. These people are in a very big hole. And Treasury needs to be committed. They need to go out of the way, Honorable Meli, to give something serious for this university. I had a discussion with the Vice Chancellor, and the money they need immediately is in excess of 2.5 billion, Honorable Meli, to just make them afloat for about 2 months. So we must continue pushing Treasury, and we need commitment from Treasury. Why the Treasury does not release money it has budgeted for, this House has budgeted for universities, no one understands, Honorable Speaker. Because we budget for these monies are supposed to be released to universities, because without which universities cannot survive. So it is my desire that as we engage the Ministry of Education, the monster in the house is the Treasury. And Honorable Speaker, this cuts across almost all universities. Multimedia University, I think they're going on strike, I don't know, next week. And many other universities, because Treasury is not releasing money which is supposed to release, that this House has appropriated to the universities. So thank you so much. As we continue to work together, Honorable Meli, let's ensure that the student who is at the center of all these things does not suffer. Lecturers, teaching and non-teaching staff are taken care of. Another big issue, Honorable Speaker, is the statutory payments. The retirees' money is missing at Moi University. People have worked for years. You've been deducting their monies, but when the time comes to retire, these people don't have their money. Where did these monies go to? Where did these monies go to, Honorable Speaker? Much as we are saying we want Treasury to come in and bail this institution, we must also go down and ask ourselves very serious questions. Who took the money for these retirees? Yeah, so Honorable Meli, thank you so much. Let's continue pushing and ensure that we have sanity at the end of the day. And on the issue of management, we need to be very clear. As you are setting up a caretaker committee, we need to be very clear with the terms and reference and how we are going to move forward. Because if we are not careful, we're just duplicating. Same people who have made it worse that this university is where it is, now you are bringing another committee to work with the same people. In our considered opinion, we need an overhaul, Honorable Speaker. We need an overhaul in the management of Moi University. And let's not fear. Let's not fear. I also want to thank Honorable Ruto. In this university, is located in his constituency. He's also been attending all the meetings.
Proceed to wind up.
Yeah, all the meetings that we've had with this university, and thank you, Honorable Ruto. Chairman, asante sana. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. God bless you. Yeah. And I'm with one of my members of the committee on Public Investment Committee, Education and Governance, Honorable Kakai. Just 1 minute.
That's not your role at all. At least you know that very well. The member for Western Gishu.
Speaker, I think we've seen the report that has been tabled by Honorable Melly, but there is still some other issues that hasn't been spelled out. One of the biggest challenges at Moi University is not just the salary arrears for the members of staff. The problem is, even those months that they have been paid, unfortunately, they were getting the net pay. But all their deductions, NSSF, NHIF, their loan repayments were not being submitted. So you find that a lot of the lecturers, they will tell you, the staff members, that one time they were driving in town with their car, and then their car was repossessed and towed away. And then when they ask why, they told no, the money has not been remitted by the university. But in their pay slip, it shows that the money is deducted. But the university has just been paying net, but not remitting the statutory deduction. So there's a crisis. So even if you say you're paying them the salary arrears, if you do not resolve their statutory, the deductions you've been removing from their salary, which you have not forwarded to the relevant institutions, that will still cause a problem. In fact, what is happening now is the banks have decided, since they can't pressure the university, they have decided to go for the individual staff members. So some of them had house loans, now the houses are being auctioned because they have not been paying, although it shows that it's been deducted from their salary. So there is a much bigger problem if you have to have a formula to bring back the employees to work and therefore be able to reopen the university. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Kakai.
Thank you, Chair. I speak as also a member for the Public Investment Committee, Education and Governance. And truly, Chair, this particular institution, what the Chair Education just spoke about, is like prescribing aspirin to a patient that requires a proper surgery. If you look at Moi University, it's purely a governance issue. It is purely a management issue. Number one, if you look at the staffing, Moi University went out and created many universities. An example, Kabianga, there is Karatina. But in our last meeting we had as a committee, if we ask Karatina how they are doing, their books are very clean. What has happened? Let's start with staffing. The rationalization of the staff, when they were creating these other universities, there was purely a gap in ensuring that there's that rationalization. There is also the issue of, let's say, the staff that are retiring, discontinuation of the parallel program. Why hasn't the management been able to rationalize such that they have staff that really matches, you know? And an example also, if there is some retirement or natural attrition, how comes the management has been unable even to rationalize that? The other critical issue in terms of assets, this particular university has got a lot of assets. An example, land. And I remember my question also to the VC. They are teaching entrepreneurship. But they are not able to come up with any project with that entrepreneurship mentality that will generate income. Land, an example. They are teaching livestock management. If you ask them and you look at the books on what is coming from cows, there is nothing coming out of it. And that is where my question is, if we are teaching entrepreneurial courses, we've got the land, we've got the assets, we've got the brains, and we are not even able to generate the income. Yes, we might be saying that Treasury is not availing the money on time. But we also expect that when you're given that type of position as a Vice Chancellor, you've been given that responsibility, you should be able to think outside the box and be able to generate income. Another issue also, and just to wind up, Chair, records. If you look at the books of Moi University, getting records is an issue. And in the same university, we even have a bachelor's on records management. So what I'm saying is, as we continue to say that, yes, Children have to graduate. We need to sort out the issues of salaries. I mean, 800 million, yes, we'll sort it out September, October. What about November, December going forward? So we need to do a proper surgery starting from the management, getting a new management that will be able to really turn around this university. It has potential, it's got all the infrastructure, it's got the resources in terms of land, and it's just a matter of us stopping, coming up with committee after committee. We need a proper surgery in Moi University and turn it around, take it back where it was. And lastly, we need to ensure that our institutions, which have got a lot of capacity in terms of land, compared to an example, USIU, how many acres do they have? Hardly 200 acres. Daystar. But they are not in rates. They are paying their salaries. They are even investing. And again, there's also funds that come from out there, research funds.
Thank you, Honorable.
Where do these funds go to?
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, 1 to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. When I hear the story of Moi University, my heart bleeds. I left the University of Nairobi to come here to head our challenges, but probably due to the fact that the University of Nairobi, we have managed to weather the storm. Honorable Speaker, also happened that my second born was graduated from Moi University before it went into a mess. But probably, Honorable Speaker, most of the challenges we have in the universities is a question of governance. It's period. All these other stories we are going into treasury, what, is just by the way. Honorable Speaker, a university should not be a cost center. A university should be a revenue generating center. Having assets like what Moi University have, having brains that they have there, if they cannot think and generate their own resources, Honorable Speaker, then it's an indictment on the education system in this country, Honorable Speaker. We need to be realistic. The committee needs to get hard on these vice chancellors and the council members. Tell them to get out of their comfort zone to forever depend on national treasury.
Thank you.
Let them look for their money, Honorable Speaker. It can be done because the new funding model system, it's assumed that the cost for each program has been adequately calculated. So that if you paid for that particular student, the university should be able to run, maintain, buy teaching materials, pay for the lecturers, and ensure things run. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, I just want to urge all the universities, please pay statutory payments that you deduct. You can imagine you wanted to get a job in the government, you do not get tax clearance certificate because the university did not submit your taxes. You want to take a loan from your SACCO, you can't get because your shares have not been updated. Honorable Speaker, as we speak now, the same malady is affecting Technical University of Kenya. Just across here, very soon, you will also see the same shutdown that we are witnessing at Moi University.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. As I stand to congratulate the Chair for Education,
2 minutes also.
Honorable Julius Melly, it's now confirmed that the real problem in Moi University, and it's now coming out that also across the other universities, requires an immediate attention. I want just to reduce my contribution or my submission on this by also calling out on National Treasury. I am aware that they are now preparing supplementary budget, that now Moi University, and I will plead to this Honorable House to consider this one, Moi University be given a priority and they be given adequate resources to be able to come back. Ministry of Trade and Industrialization, when they took over Rivertex, Moi University had injected sufficient resources, colossal amount of money, and no discussion was made or was concluded as to how those money will be refunded back by the Ministry of Trade and Industrialization. Another issue again that I want to agree with Honorable Mboka, the issue of governance. And maybe I would wish Honorable Melly should clarify what are the clarity on terms of reference of the caretaker committee, because it's an hacking area that we, all of us, including me and the people around Moi University, would want to know what are they coming on board with it so that to sort out the issues and challenges they are going there. And as the Committee of Education are going to visit Moi University, even before you enter into boardroom, I want to ask that the committee to tour around the Moi University and the environment, including where the students are living. It is in deplorable
conditioned state that even the same students, if you ask them to go back today, none of them decide to go there because of the situation the university is in this. So that as we look at the salaries, let us also look at the operations so that we give the university the situation it is. Lastly, for those people who committed an act of theft in the university, including those who participated in constructing a gate that if you go there is a scarecrow, I am sure, and I want to ask the committee that they look beyond the current management so that people who participated in commissioning or spending the resources on projects that have no value in the university, including gates that cannot allow the school bus alone. University has big buses. It cannot facilitate the school bus to go through in. We want to ask them what were they thinking around that and putting reasonable a lot of money in it instead of prioritizing money where it should go. Thank you so much, and I stand to support that National Treasury should give priority in supplementary that is coming soon so that we give university the money that it needs to come back. Thank you.
Honorable Mother, 1 minute. And I mean 1 minute.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Mine is just like a hopeless situation. When the giants like Moi University are already struggling and the rest, what happens to counties or to areas that are also planning to introduce universities? For example, Turkana University College, that was established or even given out by the current president. What will happen now that these others are struggling? What is the indicator, Honorable Speaker? It means those who are yet to establish the universities will keep struggling because the giants are already falling down. There is something that we need to do in our education, to do with our education, Honorable Speaker. And this is not a small matter. We need to have even a committee formed by the MPs in this House and see how that can be expedited. Because we are pumping in money in terms of capitation, but there's nothing.
Thank you. Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to also add my lamentations on the manner in which one of the jewels in tertiary education has been run down. I pity Moi University, and I'm particularly concerned because the Gusii region have Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital as their only solution when we have medical challenges from that region. So when Moi University is not functioning, the entire Nyanza and Western region, we are extremely challenged. So I want to urge the Chair, Honorable Meli, to go beyond the call of duty to make sure that Moi University is sorted out. And it's not Moi University alone, because this problem is contagious and even replicated in other universities. Kisii University as well should be put on the priority list for.
Thank you. The Honorable Pukose.
Honorable Speaker, thank you. And I want to join my colleagues in really expressing my disappointment in the Moi University, the way it is being managed. And I think when they raise the issues about that they have overstaffed, you know, you ask yourself, wasn't the management able to, why were they continuing to recruit more staff and more staff, opening more campuses to overstretch, and at the same time not looking at how possible to manage the university? Last week, the committee was in the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, and the next university, which is the medical school, is closed. And that closure has ramifications because even the postgraduate university students have gone home, the lecturers have gone home, and they are not being productive.
1 minute, because so 30 seconds to wind up your point.
And yet these university lecturers are also offering key services at the hospital, and therefore it affects other areas. So it has a wider ramification, and I was to ask the chair and the committee that let's save Moi University so that we can save other functions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And on the onset, let me take this opportunity to thank the chair and his committee for actually trying to bring sanity to Moi University. It's a pity, Mr. Speaker, sir, that such a big institution like that is undergoing what is happening, is undergoing what is going on there. What I must say, Mr. Speaker, is that Moi University is an institution that has brought up so many people, and it is not acceptable for us to see it going down. So we urge Treasury and even make an appeal so that Moi University gets up and running. We know for sure that the teachers, the lecturers who are there are suffering so much because the monies that they are being subtracted, or the money.
Thank you. I'll be very brief, Right Honorable Speaker. I think Moi University, you are distracting me, Honorable Pasaris. Moi University has had very many scandals. At one point in time, the entire faculty of law was closed because all the teaching staff, majority of the teaching staff were found to be unqualified. And the problems of Moi University are purely of mismanagement nature and corruption. If we are to make any intervention, I think it should be preceded by a very specific plan how to restructure the entire organization and how to deal with all the issues, both past and present, so that we can help the students. But most importantly, Mr. Speaker, I would like to suggest that we use the money we are allocating to political parties as funding. Political parties are private members clubs. There is no difference between a political party and Gor Mahia FC.
Order.
We should move.
Order. The Honorable. Honorable Karoli, can you withdraw what you just said? Can you withdraw what you just said? What did you say?
Honorable Speaker, I know you are a party leader. I am suggesting...
Order. This chance goes to the member for Nairobi. Member for Nairobi, 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on the issues of financial mismanagement in Moi University. But I believe we have a problem with remittances of all deductions in payrolls. NHIF was literally strangled because remittances were being deducted from employees, even in government institutions, and not being remitted to NHIF. I think we really need to audit that, because when you have a vote for payroll, you can't use it for something else. And I really feel that all those people who are culpable, because I heard there was even a governor who had 3 or 4 employees, family members that were employed by Moi University and not even in Kenya. I think it's important that we handle this properly. We need to put more money into the EACC so that they can deal effectively with corruption. If we don't deal with corruption, we will never be able to deliver prosperity to this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Meli, you'll have the last word on this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issues raised are very pertinent, and I want to tell the House that what the caretaker committee will do, and I think this should be a very efficient and proper care committee. And my Committee of Education, Honorable Speaker, we shall be visiting the university in the next 2 weeks. And one of the things that we want to see is, and we are asking the ministry to do, is to make sure that these funds are remitted, and even the 2.4 billion for the earlier money which was actually deducted and they were not paid. The National Treasury needs to pay them so that their payroll is going to be in tandem with the current financial system. Lastly, I want to thank the members because you have really raised very pertinent issues, not only Moi University alone. Many universities are in this problem. But as at now, the major crisis is Moi University. And I want to urge the House, when we have the supplementary one, to let us actually make sure that we bail out Moi University and our children and the community up. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Members, you know, your speaker of today went to Moi University. And as I sit here listening to the report by the Honorable Meli, I can tell you for sure, even our report is overwhelming. There's nothing to achieve with that report. What you've just read to the House today, even if you are remaining to the latter, you won't achieve much with it. So like members have said, I think let's have a proper focus on that university. I think the Honorable Kaikai is the one who said it. Management, governance. Let's not try to cover people. Let's not even try to bring ethnicity in it. Go in there. Because you can pump 10 billion shillings in Moi University today. It will not arise. If you don't deal with it clinically, they'll be back here shortly. Yeah. Before we allow them to rest, I'll just leave the Honorable Choke 30 seconds and the Honorable Donya 30 seconds. Innocent, I think. You got the mic. You got the mic next there with you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My frustration and disappointment, like everybody else here, Mr. Speaker, is that you see institutions appropriated funds, and then year in, year out, you see all this stealing going on. And where's our oversight? Do we wait until all the money is stolen, until all the assets have been appropriated to persons managing this institution, then we take action? I think we really need to drill in and see how our oversight is working when we receive these reports from the auditors, year in, year out, the same story. What do we have these institutions for? Parliament does its final stage of oversight. How about the Auditor General? How about the inspectors in the ministries? They need to up their game so that we don't have this stealing happening and we are coming at the tail end when all the money has been taken and the assets. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Donya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As much as they are proposing the additional of resources to the university, Mr. Speaker, there is a time I read in the newspaper that they wanted to have their tribal members to manage the institution. Somehow that could be the problem. Let people consider capability, not their tribal lines. That could have affected the university, not money issue, management. Check on that part of the tribalism. Thank you.
Thank you. I think so much said about Moi University so far. Remember, you have your chairman, you have your work cut out. All the best. I think before we go to the next order, I wanted to give the honorable member for Kisii County on a matter of the loss of a former member of parliament.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to make a statement on the demise of the former member of parliament for Bonchari constituency, Honorable Zedekiah Opore. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 259D2A, I rise to pay tribute to the former member of parliament for Bonchari constituency, the late Zedekiah John Opore, who passed away today morning at the age of 77 years. Honorable Speaker, the late Honorable John Opore was born on 8th of January 1947. He pursued higher education with great dedication, obtaining a degree in economics from the University of Nairobi and later master's science in economics from the University of Bradford in the UK in 1982. The late Honorable Opore began his illustrious political career in 1997 when he was first elected to represent the people of Bonchari in the National Assembly on a Ford People ticket. Throughout his political journey, he demonstrated unshakable commitment to his constituents by championing their interests both in and out of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, he was an astute legislator whose contributions to Parliament and its committees were invaluable. He served as an assistant minister in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, showcasing his expertise and dedication in public service. In recent years, he was a member of the Departmental Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation, where his insights were highly valued. Honorable Opore's political acumen was so evident in his resilience and adaptability. His unwavering commitment to the people of Bonchari further demonstrated his leadership and development skills. Honorable Speaker, the late Honorable Opore was known for his deep respect for both young and the old. His ability to connect with the people across generations made him a true champion for the people of Bonchari and a voice of reason in our national discourse. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people of Kisii County and the entire National Assembly, I wish to express heartfelt condolences to the family of the late Honorable Zedekiah John Opore, his relatives, friends, and the people of Bonchari constituency. I'm married in Bonchari constituency. The people of Bonchari have lost a true champion, Mr. Speaker, and Kenya has lost a voice of reason with the passing on of Honorable Opore. His legacy is dedicated. His legacy of dedicated service will remain a guiding example for all of us in leadership. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Osoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to join the people of Bonchari constituency and the larger Gusii region, and Honorable Donya and Honorable Onchoke in condoling with the family of the Honorable Zedekiah Opore. Honorable Speaker, yesteryears, just about 30 years or so, Honorable Speaker, Bonchari constituency and South Mugirango was one constituency. It used to be called Wanjare Mugirango or something, Wanjare South Mugirango. And then, of course, because of the expansive nature of the constituency of South Mugirango and the population, it was only led by people from South Mugirango then. Among the people who really fought for the issues of boundaries and review of boundaries and so that they can be able to manage themselves is the late Honorable Zedekiah Opore. He led that constituency, Honorable Speaker, for 3 consecutive terms, from 1997, in 2002, and then 2007, and he left this House, Honorable Speaker, in 2013. Honorable Speaker, it is a great loss.
Is it true that he left in 2013? No?
2017, sorry, 2017. It's 2017. Honorable Speaker, 2017, those are 3. Honorable Speaker, it is a great loss for Kisii, Honorable Speaker. And you'll notice about a month ago, we were again in this house, mourning another great son of the soil, the Honorable Gari, who passed on also, almost in similar circumstances. Gusii nation is mourning, losing such great sons of the soil, people that we used to garner, wisdom from, is really something that is so devastating. And Honorable Speaker, to me in particular, I have actually lost a friend because I used to be very close, yesteryears, I used to be very close with his daughter. But no problem, we will continue. I don't know why the Honorable Steve
the daughter is not dead.
No, I'm just saying it used to be, because I've talked to her and she's really so down, and that is why I'm saying there is such connection of emotional transfer. It's very magnetic, Honorable Speaker. But to the family and to the great people of Bonchari constituency, to the Honorable Onchoke, the Honorable Donya who comes from Bonchari constituency, we join you in the morning, Mzee, and then we say, may his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Members, I'll give just 3 members and 2 minutes each. You get a chance to. The Honorable Onchoke.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity you've given me to mourn the death of Zedekiah Opore. It's so personal to me, I'm lost for words. The late Honorable Opore is my uncle. And the very first time he met to Parliament, I was there. He's somebody I've worked with for many, many, many years. As young people, he was a big inspiration to us as one of the first people from our community to go to university. So many of us wanted to grow and become like Honorable Opore. He suffered for many days in the past years. That he had this illness that finally caused his disease. It made him to be taken to India for treatment and came back, was taken to Kenyatta Hospital, but he succumbed to death early this morning. It's a big loss to all of us in Bonchari, and it's a dark cloud that has cast in Bonchari. We mourn him, we mourn a great person, he's not just a leader that has been said by my colleagues here, Honorable Donya and Honorable Soro, but he's a very committed family person. He just lost his wife about 2 years ago, and so we say pole to his family, his sons, Frank and others, his daughter Stella and others. We also say Pole to his brothers, to his sisters, and his neighbors, his cousins, his grandchildren who feel the loss as well. We pray that God gives the family the solace and peace to be able to give him a decent burial. The whole of Kisii has lost a great leader. Bonchari has lost a great leader, and we mourn him. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Meli wanted to say something on this.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join the fellow members of Parliament in mourning Honorable Opore, the late Honorable Opore, whom we served together in the 12th Parliament, in the Committee of Public Accounts Committee. I want to say that he was a great debater. He was a very calm member. And more importantly, Honorable Speaker, as said, he had a lot of concern for his family and his people for Bonchari. As the members who served with him, Honorable Speaker, we pay tribute to the Bonchari people and to fellow members of Parliament, especially for he worked with majority of us who are in the House. He actually came up with a number of issues affecting his people, and he was an able representative of his people, Bonchari. May the good Lord rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you.
Mogaka.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to also shed my tears in honor of Honorable Zebedee John Opore. Zebedee Opore is one seasoned politician who helped Bonchari secede from the then Bonchari South Mugrango. He was my friend, and I was one of those who participated in his first entry into Parliament. I particularly remember Honorable Opore as one of the most astounding economists at our National Treasury. I also remember his major contribution when he was one of the top managers of the African Retail Traders, ART, as it then was popularly known, under the able leadership of my very own Honorable Tom Murwabe Sawe. Before his death, Honorable Opore has been battling with his illness. I just want to thank and celebrate all those who stood with family, supported the treatment both locally and abroad. And I want to thank Honorable Dr. Charles Onchoke, the current member of Bonchari constituency, for the mobilization he did in assisting the family to battle with this illness. May the good soul of Honorable Zebedee John Opore rest in peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Kose.
Honorable Speaker, I want to join the Kisii fraternity and specifically the constituents of Bonchari in sending my condolence message to the family, friends, and neighbors of Honorable Zebedee Opore, whom we served together in the 11th Parliament in this House, Honorable Speaker. And I want to say pole sana to those through the loss of Zebedee Opore this morning. I'm informed he's been sick for quite some time, and unfortunately this has happened. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Honorable Opore was known to me personally. Gentleman, old man of the house. Could we just observe a moment of silence? May the Lord rest his soul in eternal peace. So next order.
Order number 8, the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 66 of 2023, second reading.
The House. Next order.
Order number 9, the Land Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 39 of 2023, second reading.
Member for Funyula.
Honorable Speaker, I move that the Land Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 39 of 2023 is read a second time. Honorable Speaker, just for record purposes, this bill was published in 2022 and read for the first reading in February 2022, but as was the case, it lapsed due to the end of the term. Honorable Speaker, I just want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank the two committees, by then the 12th Parliament, Dr. Nyamai, and the current Parliament, in my good friend, who have journeyed together to get where we are today, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the two engagements with the committee, we have discussed and agreed a few things, and let me, Honorable Speaker, highlight the same as we start here today. Honorable Speaker, I want you to go on record that the Land Control Bill is part of the land bills or the land laws that were supposed to be reviewed as contemplated in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 to align them to the provisions of the new Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as we stand here today, there is a Land Control Act, Cap 302, that was enacted in 1967. Enacted 1967, with piecemeal amendments, very few amendments, in 2017. So, Honorable Speaker, it left the architecture the way it is to the detriment of the land sector. Honorable Speaker, let me just put in perspective so that we understand the entire framework of land administration system in this country. Generally, at the start, at independence, it was necessary to control transactions in land in agricultural areas, what they call agricultural land. So consequently, it was agreed that before any transaction, be it transfer, subdivision, mortgaging, leasing, all those kind of things is done, there must be a body somewhere that generally reviews those dispositions before it is approved. Consequently, they formed what we call district land control boards, which were later split into divisional land control boards, which currently now looks like land control boards at probably at sub-county level or divisional level. So, Honorable Speaker, those land control board are the ones that approves. They must give a stamp of authority before any transactions in the land sector, agricultural land can happen. Honorable Speaker, there has been a lot of discussions about the performance of the current structure of the land control boards. And this discussion, Honorable Speaker, has been going on for some time. You remember the Njonjo report. The Njonjo report was explicitly clear, and I want members to understand, members of public to understand, when they observed Njonjo Commission report, that the membership of the land control boards, the corruption, the failure to impose restrictions of economic subdivisions, manipulation of the boards by politicians, the dishonest and interference of the provincial administration, the miserable allowances, the lack of agenda, and failure to announce sitting dates were all matters affecting proper functioning of the land control boards. Honorable Speaker, it went on, Honorable Speaker, because of the failure of the land control boards. Probably with hindsight, the judiciary or parliament set up the Land and Environment Court. And you would find quite a number of cases in the Land and Environment Court emanate from decisions or actions of the Land Control Board. Honorable Speaker, as on 28 April 2016, the Cabinet Secretary for Land and Fiscal Planning, responding to complaints by the general public in regard to widespread corruption in the land sector and abuse of issuance of consent of the land control areas, dissolved all the land control boards in the country. They were all dissolved. This action eroded little remaining confidence in the current system of the land control boards. The recent report, that's a report of about 2020 by the World Bank on ease of doing business, has ranked Kenya's number 134, and tellingly, Kenya scored 25% in regard to procedure of land transfer and transactions, indicating a system that does compares unfavorably with the other 19 economies that were included in the survey. So consequently, Honorable Speaker, we would look at it from that point of view that the intentions could have been good, but over time, as the Njonjo Commission report reported, there has been abuse of the land control system. Honorable Speaker, it becomes even tellingly difficult a challenge when we go in the informal sector. Honorable Speaker, you see very many demolitions, you see very many contestations where land control boards approve subdivisions even on illegally acquired land. You find land control board approve subdivisions on even government land, so that you end up at a process whereby those who have bought those for value end up losing money. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, it was necessary, as what was proposed in the land policy, plus the Njonjo Commission report, and even the new constitution, that it's time we must look at that particular sector aspect of the land administration. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the Land Control Board, or has contemplated in the Old Land Control Act, had some element of dispute resolution. You would go, you have a boundary dispute at the time of transfer, they would listen to the boundary dispute. You would have a dispute at the point of succession, they will listen to that dispute and probably offer some kind of assistance to the courts. Unfortunately, over time, the Land Control Act, land control boards have literally generally remained for purposes of conveying decisions to approve a transaction. Many a times, Honorable Speaker, you have been involved in purchase of land in rural areas. Hardly do you ever appear before a land control board to argue your case. Hardly does the seller even appear in the land control board to argue the case. You'd find many times is the so-called brokers and the agents who move around with the documentations up to conclusion. In the case there is any dispute, then issue, you yourself are not even assessed on the proceedings of the Land Control Board to enable you defend yourself in a court of law. So therefore, as we stand here, Honorable Speaker, the overarching objective of the new bill is basically to reform, to reorganize, and bring this particular thing or the particular process into order. Honorable Speaker, the bill, in memorandum of objects, so that we can get it very clear, the object of this bill, therefore, Honorable Speaker, is to repeal and replace the Land Control Act, Cap 302, to aligning the law governing dealings in agricultural land with the provision of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the Environment and Land Control Act 2011, the Land Registration Act 2012, and the Land Bill 2012. In line with the progressive nature of our constitution and lawmaking, we are with the bill as it is now, and one of the key elements, Honorable Speaker, is the creation of Land Control Committee instead of a Land Control Board. A board looks so oppressive, so authoritarian, that we are point that many people fear even to appear there. So we are looking at a land committee, a land control committee, such that can abrasively and adequately review an application for disposition. So, Honorable Speaker, under Part 2, it establishes, obviously, Part 1 is preliminary, Clause 1 and 2 are the typical ones. So from Part 2, Honorable Speaker, Clause 4, it establishes land control committees. And land control committees shall be appointed in each geographical constituency. That we are proposing, therefore, to have 290 land control committees. And Honorable Speaker, quite a number of these issues provided in this bill, we have had a robust discussion with the committee. There are some areas we have agreed to amend. There are some areas, obviously, with engagement with the ISK, Institutional Surveyors of Kenya, and the other land sector players are going to be changed. But I want to move in the form it is, so that if there is an amendment, the chair will move with it accordingly. Honorable Speaker, it therefore proposes that we have a chairman, and that chairman, Honorable Speaker, shall be qualified for appointment if he is a holder of a degree from a university organized in Kenya, demonstrates knowledge of the culture, traditions, and dispute resolution mechanisms of the people living in the geographical area under the jurisdiction of the Land Control Committee. Honorable Speaker, it intends to retain the Deputy County Commissioner as a member. We have had a discussion at length with the committee, and therefore the proposal to include sub-county administrator has been dropped for purposes of increasing local representation. Then it has two persons, one being a man and one a woman, aged 60 years and above, for purposes of institutional memory. Honorable Speaker, many of us who have grown up in the rural areas where cultural land is, whenever there is any dispute of any nature, you don't call a 14-year-old boy or girl to come and arbitrate. Most of where land matters are involved, where adjudication or where the general boundaries as opposed to fixed boundaries. So that's why there is thinking that a person who is 60 years and above has got adequate historical knowledge about the issues at hand. Then two other persons, one being a youth with demonstrated knowledge and experience in land law, surveying, land administration, or dispute resolution. Honorable Speaker, other than the chairman, all other members to be appointed to sit in the committee or to hold a secondary school certificate and must demonstrate knowledge in the culture, traditions, and dispute resolution mechanisms of the people living in the geographical area. The thinking, Honorable Speaker, is for you to sit and resolve land disputes, you need local understanding. How a Borana community member, how a Borana community resolve their disputes is that could be completely different from how a person like a Samia of the Luyas resolve their disputes. That's why we are saying it is foolhardy to pick a Masai to go and take him to Tarbaj to resolve land dispute. That's why in this instance, you must understand the culture and traditional knowledge of those people. Of course, Honorable Speaker, must meet the requirement of Chapter 6. Honorable Speaker, unlike in the past, where probably the Cabinet Secretary, where probably the Registrar, or the PS, or the DC, or the CC had unfettered authority to appoint members to this to land control boards as it is now, this new bill is proposing a paradigm shift to that. And the paradigm shift, Honorable Speaker, we want to form a committee, to form a selection committee comprising of the DCC, a person nominated by constituents office, a person representing persons living with disability, two persons, one being a woman and one man, representing a business community. And therefore, the selection committee, Honorable Speaker, shall advertise the vacancies within 7 days of the constitution of the panel, shortlist applicants on the basis of merit, interview the shortlisted applicants in an open forum, and submit the results of the interview to the Chief Land Registrar for appointment. So that's a paradigm shift, and we are saying, Honorable Speaker, in the appointment of members of the Land Control Committee, gender issue, gender balance must be achieved. We say so, Honorable Speaker, because in many rural areas, The men might own the land. The title might be registered in the land. But it's the women who till the land. It's the women who cultivate the land. And in the event of any death, the women who suffer the most in terms of disinheritance and being disengaged from their property. Honorable Speaker, the rest is just issues concerning the issues how to retire, how to go. Honorable Speaker, Clause 9 of the bill lays down the functions of the Land Control Committee. Lays down the function of the Land Control Committee, and to avoid wasting time, I'll just pick a few, Honorable Speaker, as probably carried over from the old bill and as reorganized to meet the provision of the new constitution. Is to review and grant consent to any sale, charge, transfer, grant, exchange for value or no value, lease, assignment, grant of easement, or right of way in relation to agricultural land. Honorable Speaker, we are also proposing to review any dealings in land referred to it by the Chief Registrar. Settle any land dispute referred to it by willing parties pursuant to Article 60 and Article 159(2) of the Constitution of Kenya. Here again, Honorable Speaker, if you go to any court registry, we have so many pending court cases because of land issues. We are saying it is possible with the local knowledge, and many of the disputes could be so mundane, could be so basic that requires local solutions. So that's why we are saying whenever our parties to any dispute over land, instead before going to court, they could easily walk to the Land Control Committee and ask the committee members, listen to our case, arbitrate us, so that we do not have to waste a lot of time and money going into the courts. I'm also proposing, Honorable Speaker, that the committee can also be granted powers to undertake fact-finding and evidence gathering in matters covered under the Law of Succession, the Environmental and Law Court Act, the Land Registration Act, the National Land Commission Act, and the Land Act, upon request of the parties or the respective courts. Honorable Speaker, Part 3 simply deals with the procedures. And this procedures, Honorable Speaker, is now the biggest improvement on the old archaic law. Here we are now modernizing, we are farming it up or matching up with the requirements of the Constitution. We are saying a party to any transaction shall file the documentation with the Land Control Committee. In filing the documentation, these are the necessary and mandatory documentations. A copy of the agreement of the controlled transaction for which the consent is sought. Honorable Speaker, currently there is a prototype agreement that we have. You would normally find in many places. It is so inadequately drafted, Honorable Speaker, it never protects the rights of the parties. So we are saying, we're moving forward. Obviously, we would request the land control committees to develop a more binding agreement that will safeguard the interests of the parties. Then we need a copy of the cadastral map of the land affected by the transactions. So that, Honorable Speaker, the question of forged titles, the question of mismatched siting of the land is a thing of the past. A certified copy of the title document of the land affected by the transaction. So certified copy by the registrar of lands, the one who certifies either a certified copy or a certificate of official search. Spousal consent to the transaction, that already provided for, we are reinforcing. Details of acreage held by each party within the geographical area and the jurisdiction of the committee. Even though that particular requirement, Honorable Speaker, the Committee of Lands was a bit uncomfortable with it, it's a matter that we shall deliberate. The land control shall maintain a register of all the applications in the prescribed form, physically and electronically, so that at any given time, Honorable Speaker, any interested party can go over and pick. That's why we are saying, avail the register for inspection by members of the public, subject to any prescribed fee upon application and any other condition that may be set by the Cabinet Secretary. A novel improvement or introduction to the spectrum is, Honorable Speaker, is transparency and accountability. That's why under Clause 12, Honorable Speaker, we are saying the Secretary of the Land Control Committee shall publish at least 14 days before the date of a review hearing the list of all applications. Honorable Speaker, as we stand today, those of you who go in the villages, you hear, ask them peace, even the leaders. There are so many disputes that yes, the Land Control Board gave consent. I was not aware that there have been the request for consent had been filed. So, Honorable Speaker, we are saying the notice must be published at the offices of the Chief Land Registrar or the representative of the county level, at the constituency office of the area member of parliament, at the area chief's office within the constituency, and the sub-county website. So, Honorable Speaker, I know the issue of website will be progressive, but that's the thinking as we go along. And we are saying any member of the public, whether interested or not, may file an objection to any application before the Land Control Committee in the prescribed form. And we are saying, Honorable Speaker, we are proposing that further it must be open. And that's why we are saying, Honorable Speaker, the hearing of the grant must be done in broad daylight, so that at the end of the process, the Secretary will forward the resolution of the committee I will also post the resolution of the committee and forward the same to the registrar for purposes of dealing with it. Honorable Speaker, obviously any dispute of any nature will always give rise to disagreements or disputes. And that's why, Honorable Speaker, I'm proposing, Honorable Speaker, under Clause 15, that the Cabinet Secretary shall, through a competitive process, appoint such land control appeals committee as may be necessary in the Gazette notice. An appeal committee shall comprise of a person who shall be a chairperson who shall be qualified to be appointed as a judge of the High Court, and 4 other persons who must possess a degree from a university recognized in Kenya and have knowledge and expertise in matters relating to land management, law, community service, dispute resolution, or fiscal planning. We are now putting a capping on the length of time the Land Control Committee shall dispose of any appeal. An appeal committee shall hear and determine an appeal within 30 days of its lodging. So, Honorable Speaker, Part 4 as typically is miscellaneous provisions. The same apply to Part 5, which relates to provisions of delegated powers. And finally, Honorable Speaker, Part 6 is transition and saving clauses. And the transition and saving clauses, Honorable Speaker, we are saying the Chief Registrar shall, as far as is possible, practical, appoint members of the Land Control Board existing before the commencement of this Act as members of the Land Control Committee established under this Act. We are further proposing, Honorable Speaker, any consent or direction given under the Land Control Act before the commencement of this Act shall be deemed as a consent or direction given in this Act. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I'm proposing the Land Control Act, Cap 302 of 1967, be repealed and replaced with this bill. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, I know there has been a lot of interest in this bill, and there has been a lot of delay, and I'm aware, Honorable Speaker, at one time, the ministry had proposed a land law amendment bill which more or less spoke to about the provisions I have here, but they were again entrenching government bureaucracy in the land control boards instead of opening up and professionalizing the same. And therefore urge our colleagues here, members of parliament, let's pass this bill. It's going to rationalize and operationalize and bring sanity in the land control board, even the transaction in the rural areas. Honorable Speaker, we have been treated to so many cases of people being disinherited, widows losing their property, children losing their inheritance, simply because there has been a procedural way of approving those transactions, Honorable Speaker. We are saying again, I'm saying again, as is typical, the Cabinet Secretary can as well declare any area as a controlled transaction area and bring it to the armpit of this particular bill. The Cabinet Secretary can as well find that a certain agricultural area, zone for agricultural area, does not require to be under this bill. It can as well gazette to exempt the same. But we are saying the most important thing, let us professionalize, let us make it open and transparent. There should be never any secret between that transaction. Because, Honorable Speaker, we are still grappling with the issue of minimum and maximum land sizes that was proposed in the Constitution. We have been unable to get a workable formula to implement the same. Because nobody, however good you are, you based in Nairobi cannot set minimum and maximum land holding for somewhere in Mandera, because the land holding capacity are completely different compared to Kisii area. The productivity is completely different compared to that to different areas. It might now be necessary that at least these land control committees could be as well be enhanced with their powers to generate some kind of a formula for that area based on the local circumstances. Honorable Speaker, we also made amendments to the Land Act by bringing the land indices. We have also been unable, Honorable Speaker, to implement the same because the ever-changing nature of land values, land transactions, and the question of arm's length transactions that are expected in an atypical land policy process. So I urge my colleagues, this is a progressive bill. Let's give it a serious thought. Let it go through so that we can revolutionalize, remove quacks, remove underhand deals that will save our constituents the headache and the pain. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I move and request my neighbor here, Professor, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Professor Jaldesa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do consider that this is a very important bill. The land is a very emotive matter, and the fact that the moment we decide to put the management of land issues in the hand of the locals, I think we'll have made a breakthrough, and for that, I support the bill.
Fair enough. Honorable members, I now propose a question that the Land Control Bill, National Assembly, Bill number 39 of 2023, be now read a second time. Timothy Wanyonyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to add my voice on this bill. Mr. Speaker, we all remember the land control boards, and this is the genesis of many disputes in land ownership in this country. Families have been disinherited or have been, land taken away or sold without the family even being aware. Now, by creating these committees at the constituency level, they provide local solutions right at the grassroots and very close to the people. And the people who will be sitting on these committees, Mr. Speaker, there will be people who are carefully selected and people who come from within the locality who understand the issues of land and have knowledge of even the history of any particular land within the locality, so that they don't go into matters that will bring conflict within the community or the families. Mr. Speaker, sometimes people take things very lightly in terms of land, and sometimes when you read cases about land, there are some cases that have been in existence in court for a long time. People who started those cases maybe in the 40s or 50s, those cases are still there because somebody messed up that issue. But once we have these, the committees at the constituency level, and we also have appeals committee that is also established to look into the issues that have come out from the committee which is handling that matter. I believe this is a very, very critical amendment, bill that will now establish a very, very robust committees at the constituency level, and this is localizing home ground solutions. I'm sure it will minimize the disputes that emanate from that. The bill also provides that the committees will explore to use the alternative dispute resolutions, which I believe this is also something good, so that we minimize the many court cases that go to court and sometimes delay to get the solutions. So when we have these dispute resolutions referred to within the same locality, Mr. Speaker, they'll provide a quick solution and the disputes will be resolved quickly. And within this, because the people who are dealing with this are people who understand and they know the issues of land within that area. Mr. Speaker, I just want to support this bill and also thank the mover, Professor Undo, for bringing up this very, very critical bill that is going to revolutionize how land dealings in this country. The land ownership, Mr. Speaker, if you go to the villages, our agricultural land is being split into small and economic values that cannot be used. You find now people have gone and taking agricultural land, the agricultural land that is now being split into small plots and sold out. And this is going to create, our food security will become, in danger if we don't control, if this is not controlled and managed well. Mr. Speaker, I want to support. Thank you very much.
Honorable Eva Barra.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And at onset, let me thank Honorable Oundo for this very, very elaborate explanation on what this is all about. And of course, we all know that this is his forte. This is his area of specialization. So thank you very much, Mr. Oundo. He has mentioned that the principal object of this bill is to repeal and replace the Land Control Act Cap 302 to align with the current governing dealings in agricultural land with the provisions of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Mr. Speaker, the main issue here that has come up that I understand is on the Land Control Board. Mr. Speaker, we are proposing here that we replace the Land Control Boards with the Land Control Committee. The most important thing is the composition, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that land in our own community setup has been an emotive issue. People have been killed because of land issues. But now we are proposing that the Land Committee must comprise of people who come from those areas, people who understand the environment, people who understand the language and the cultures of that community, so that when issues of disputes come up, then they are able to resolve them very, very easily. Mr. Speaker, in the bill, we can see that he has also proposed appeals mechanism, which is a good thing, and there is a procedure to be followed in this appeals mechanism. Mr. Speaker, He's also come up with a critical issue that has been missed by many committees, and this is the gender balance. He's saying that the gender balance must be adhered to. And that is a good thing, Mr. Speaker, because we know that women, mostly it's men who are in these committees, but women have a very, very different perspective on issues, and most of the time it's family focused, and they are able to save a situation whereby families have been disinherited. Mr. Speaker, this bill will take care of all the previous ills that we have seen, and Mr. Speaker, without favoritism. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that previously what we have seen in these communities is blatant theft of land that has been stolen from families, that's probably been sold by the head of the family without the knowledge of those families, the wives and the children of those families. I think recently, without mentioning names, Mr. Speaker, an issue has arisen in this House where a family appeared to have been disinherited by those who are most expected to take care of them. Thank you very much, and once again, I support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as a member of the Land Committee, first of all, I would like to congratulate Honorable Orude for the Land Control Bill 2023. Mr. Speaker, I raise on Standing Order number 35. The House has no quorum, as we right now have noted that we don't have enough members in the House. Understandably so, this was a special sitting today. And because we don't have quorum and the matters are quite weighty, the Land Control Bill would require a lot of people to be whipped to be here so that we can discuss it effectively and give justice to the bill. So on Standing Order number 35, I beg to say that the House has no quorum.
I understand. I mean, once the issue of a quorum is raised, and indeed, yes, as you put it, there doesn't seem to be quorum. I can only direct that the quorum bill be rung for 8 or 10 minutes. 10 minutes, yes. And if there are any members of any of the whips who are here, please go out and whip the members.
Dear viewers, the quorum bell at the National Assembly is now on ring mode after the Speaker, currently presiding over the business of the National Assembly, directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. This directive came about after the member for the Nairobi County, Honorable Esther Passari, stood on a point of order notifying the Speaker that the House lacks the requisite quorum to continue with the consideration of the matter on the floor, which is the Land Control Bill, Bill number 3 of 2023. And to that effect, the Speaker, Honorable Farah Maalim, directed the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes so that members can be whipped back into the chamber to necessitate the aspect of the House being properly quorated to continue with this matter that the House was deliberating just before the issue of quorum was raised. And this notification on matters quorum was raised pursuant to Standing Orders number 35 on matters quorum. Rather, that directive that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes is guided by the House Standing Orders number 35. And upon the lapse of the 10 minutes allocated by the Speaker, the Standing Orders yet again guides the Speaker on matters to do with quorum, where the Speaker is, to his discretion, equally empowered to give an extra 5 minutes or adjourn the House sitting until when next the House will be sitting. Remember, upon the rise of the House this evening or this afternoon, the National Assembly is set to commence a short recess, this being about 2 weeks recess from today to the 15th of November 2024 at 2:30 p.m. The notification of recess is from the 22nd of October to the 4th of November, and so the House, upon the rise this evening, is going to resume its regular sittings on the 5th of November this year. But dear viewers, away from that, the Land Control Bill number 3 of the year 2023 is a bill that is seeking to repeal and replace the Land Control Act Cap number 302 to align the law governing dealings in the agricultural land with the provisions of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the Environment and Land Court Act of 2011, and the Land Registration Act of number 2012 and the Land Act of 2012. Before the quorum bell was rung, members of the National Assembly currently present in the chamber were contributing to the report by the committee in regards to the Land Control Bill, where they gave insights as to why the land ownership in the country ought to be streamlined. And they were calling for members to go actually over the call for duty and ensure that the legitimate landowners in the country do not have to fight for their property through the courts or other avenues, and that the House should streamline matters to do with land ownership in the country to equally reduce cases where the court will be dealing with court cases as a result of the emotive land issues in the country. The principal object of this bill is, besides repealing and replacing the land cap of 302, the bill is proposing the establishment of the land control committees in each constituencies to replace the current land control boards. The land control committees are to comprise of persons drawn from within the locality who will be serving their conversant with the traditions, customs, and the way of life of communities surrounding them in their areas. According to the mover of this bill, this is a bill, our dear viewers, sponsored by Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Wilberforce Ondo. And in this bill, he has specified that when these are done, when things are put in place in regards to matters land ownership in the country, this will enable each proposed transaction to be reviewed properly and soberly with a view of ensuring that there is proper utilization of agricultural land, and this is for the benefit of all. It is additionally proposed that the land control committees do develop the use of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms in their operations, and that they do undertake evidence gathering and fact-finding on the request of parties and the courts in matters relating to land and land use. The bill delegates legislative powers to the Cabinet Secretary responsible for land to make regulations for the carrying out into effect of its provisions. This bill on matters controlling of land do not limit any fundamental rights or freedoms. And as to whether the bill is a money bill within the meaning of Article 114 of the Constitution, the enactment of this bill will occasion expenditure of public funds. Well, the bill under Part 5 on matters provisions on delegated powers, the Cabinet Secretary may make regulations for prescribing anything which may be prescribed under this Act, and generally for carrying out into effect the purposes of provisions of this Act. The Cabinet Secretary, again, is set to make regulations without prejudice to generality and subsection of regulations in regards to the streamlining of land ownership in the country. For the purposes of Article 94, subsection 6 of the Constitution, the purposes as well as objectives of the delegation is to enable the Cabinet Secretary make regulations to provide for the better carrying out into effect of the provisions of this Act, and equally enable the land control committees and appeals committees to discharge their functions more effectively. The authority of the Cabinet Secretary is to make regulations under this Act and will be limited to the bringing into effect the provisions of this Act and equally fulfillment of the objectives specified under the bill. The other aspect factored in this bill is the principles and the standards applicable to the regulations that will be made under this section. And these principles and standards allow me to hand over back to the chamber.
The time being 4:50 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Tuesday, the 5th of November, 2024 at 2:30 p.m.
Wakurugenzi, last couple of weeks mazee, a former colleague of mine Joe alipiga bonge la interview pale bana, akapiga nduru mbaya sana bana. Joe maisha imemuita meeting Nairobi, ikamfanya ile kitu mazee, akadai amefika mwisho mazee. Na Wakenya ni nani? Yani for the first time niliona yani msee ameshughulikiwa.